Hello and happy Earth Day. I'm Callie Bendixson, Principal of Corporate Social Responsibility at Itron, and today we're celebrating Earth Day by exploring one of the most important topics shaping our future, the connection between energy and water. We are also excited to share more about our recently launched digital badge program called Resourcefulness. I'm joined by Dr. Michael Weber, professor at the University of Texas at Austin, longtime educational partner and friend to Itron, and internationally recognized expert on the energy-water nexus. His work has helped millions of people around the globe better understand how these systems power our daily lives and why thinking about them together matters. Dr. Weber, thanks for being here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I look forward to the conversation.
To kick off our time together, we have some questions for you. So Earth Day often inspires people to ask, what can I do to help our planet? With this year's theme, Our Power, Our Planet, and from your perspective, why is understanding the connection between energy and water so important, especially right now?
I think that today, given all the geopolitics that's underway and all the environmental strain that's on people's minds, and the different constraints we have about water shortages or maybe high prices for something, it's easy to feel overwhelmed and feel like that we have no role to play. But in fact, we as individuals do have a role to play. If you add us up at the 330 million plus Americans or the 100 million households just in the United States, if each person or each household makes a difference in their behavior, in their consumption of energy, water, or other resources, it will add up to make a big difference. And I think that all starts with understanding, first of all, how we use energy and water and how they're connected. So if we come to some belief that we can make a difference, which I hope people will feel, and some understanding of how energy and water are used and how they're interconnected, and that we can change those behaviors, just use a little bit less for the same goods and services and daily activities we need, but with less resource, this will add up to be a really big impact. So really want people to have that feeling that they are empowered to make a difference, that they have the knowledge they need to make a difference, and that it adds up. It might feel so small, just one person, but there are a lot of us, and it makes a big difference at the national, international level. So that's kind of one of the things I really think Earth Day should bring out of this sense of personal role and personal empowerment and personal impact.
That's awesome. You helped develop the Resourcefulness Digital Badge. I'm interested to hear what inspired the creation of this program and who is it designed to help?
There are a couple of different motivations. So I'm an educator by profession. I'm a professor, and I'm from a family of professors or other teachers all over my family. We all think about education, and I work on topics of energy and water and the environment. And so I think about how I can do that education in a traditional direct instruction way in a collegiate environment, in a classroom, but not everybody's in a classroom and not everybody's a college student. And they're certainly not all my college students. So I try to think about other ways, other platforms, other mechanisms or means we can reach other people with some of this material. And thankfully, I've had this partnership with Itron for many years now, over a decade, which is very exciting, to think about different ways we can educate different people in different parts of the globe on different resources, energy and water specifically, and what might be the way to reach them. And the classroom is great. Everyone who can be there is fantastic. But if you go to online resources or television or other mechanisms, you can reach more people. And that's where we ended up thinking about digital tools, online tools that aligns with the themes of having smart digital tools for the grid and for the water infrastructure anyway. So we use these digital tools and have built a variety of different curricula or suites of information, and then ending up with resourcefulness now, which leads to the digital badge and other things I know we'll talk about. But the motivation really is to reach more people with the educational content that not everyone gets access to if they're not a college student in my classroom at the University of Texas.
Love it. So as a lifelong learner myself, I enjoyed the opportunity to grow my knowledge and earn the Resourcefulness Digital Badge through the platform. I was thinking, beyond improving energy water literacy, are there any other reasons why someone should consider earning a digital badge?
I think a lot of people love the learning for the sake of learning. So I think you were one of our first badge recipients, and you were testing out, and you'd like to learn.
Me.
A lot of other, yeah, you might. Well, I'll have to check. Maybe you were number one, but the love of learning is a big motivation. But there are a lot of people who are more practical who want to break into the energy or water industries. They want to get a job, and this is a credential helping get them a job. Or maybe they're already in the industry and they want to pivot their career within those sectors. And so they can use this credential as a badge they can use to go get a new job or promotion or different duties and responsibilities. Or maybe they need their professional education units and this counts towards it. So the different motivations from the love of learning, philosophical, I just want to know more about the material, to the practical, I want to advance my career or break into this sector. And I think it should serve both purposes. And we expect a wide range of ages. I don't know who our youngest learners will be and our oldest learners, but there are a lot of lifelong learners who just like the topic. And there'll be some people, certainly in high school, but I expect some middle school learners as well, who will use the material for a class project or for some other things. So I think we'll have a wide range of participants. We already have seen a lot of people using it. We don't know all the details of their backgrounds, but I expect that it'll be in those sort of two bins: people who love learning, people who like the topics, and people who want to advance or initiate their careers in these directions. And that's was the intent, was to have this wide-ranging curriculum and credential that could serve many purposes.
Yeah, that's great. Just a way to broaden your educational experiences and improve your resume, add a credential to your
Yep.
resume.
That's right, all of that.
Yeah. So here at Itron, we care deeply about education, as you know, and we believe the way we manage energy and water will define the century. As we look for ways to conserve these precious resources, most of us flip a switch or turn on a faucet without even thinking what's behind it. Why is it important to think about energy, water, food, climate, and technology as connected systems rather than separate issues?
This is a great point. I think you and I and a lot of our listeners have the luxury of not thinking about it too much. We can almost take it for granted, which is not good, but we flip the switch and the electricity is available. We turn the valve and the water flows. That's not true in other parts of the world where people have to think about it because they have to go to effort to procure their energy and maybe carry it if it's firewood, or go get the water, carry it if it's in a bucket from a local pump in the region or something like that. So it's nice not to have to think about it. The problem with not thinking about it is that we're not thinking about it and we're not attentive to conservation, and it might invite wasteful behavior. So it's good to think about what goes beyond the switch, beyond the outlet, beyond the valve, beyond the pump or the spigot or the hose bib or whatever it is, because there's an entire system behind that. There's certainly your meters and your technology, but there's also the pipes and the valves and the wires and all the things that move the resources to our house. And that's a vast infrastructure. In some cases, it spans dozens or hundreds of miles, depending on what you're moving. And there's a lot of people who work on that, and there's a lot of resources and benefit from that. There's also some impacts we need to be mindful of. So I think getting beyond the light switching, beyond the hose bib, is going to be important for us to really just understand the system. And from understanding will come conservation mindset, and from conservation mindset will come greater longevity of the system for our kids and grandkids, but also lower prices, better resilience, better security, and everything else. So there's a lot of advantage we get from moving beyond the ignorance of just using it and moving into an understanding of how it got there. And it didn't happen overnight. It happened over decades and centuries, and we're benefiting from prior generations who went to the trouble to build it. And now we have all these line workers and frontline utility people who keep it going, so we don't have to worry about it. And I just think that's great. We need to acknowledge and celebrate them, but we kind of owe it to everybody, if we can, to get a little smarter on it.
Agreed. So taking a deeper dive a little bit here on the future of energy and water, what's one shift in how we plan, educate, or invest in technology and infrastructure that you believe will make the biggest difference in building a more sustainable and resilient world?
That's great. And you asked in your prior question about interconnected. I know we talk about that, but that's one thing to think about, is how all these systems are interconnected. So that's one thing I'd like to talk about, is that we use energy for water. We use energy to pump and treat and heat and chill and pressurize water. We use water for energy to spin turbines at dams, or to irrigate biofuels, or to float energy products to market on barges, or to cool power plants. So we use water for energy. Energy for water is very interconnected. And then we use energy and water for food. And then we use energy, for example, to grow the food or move the food or prepare the food or to refrigerate the food, and then energy carry away the food waste. And it's all tied in together. So one of the things I'd really urge, one of the things we can do, is get more deeply knowledgeable on the interconnections, because that will be good for us just as a society, as individuals. That's one thing we can do. Another thing we can do is be mindful of how those interconnections yield surprising conservation benefits. Turning off the water will save electricity. Turning off electricity will save water. Eating less food or throwing away less food or having less food waste will save energy and water. All these things are interconnected, and a little bit of conservation goes a long way as a consequence. And that's, I guess, the main takeaway is think about these cross-cutting benefits you might get. And then over longer term, you can think about what appliance you might buy, what kind of light bulb, what kind of car, where might you live? Is it close to work and school, in grocery stores, something like that? Is it far away? What are the consequences of that? So we have a lot of decisions we can make over different time frames. Some of the decisions last decades, like where we live, or last years, what appliance we might choose to use. but also the behavior of what to turn off we can do today in the next hour. And that's a great way to start for Earth Day, I think.
Right. And how education plays a critical role in this conversation, how important it is for us to understand the interconnectedness.
Yeah.
So final question for you, Dr. Weber. How can people access the Resourcefulness Education Program? And what's one key takeaway from this conversation that you want to leave with our viewers?
That's great. So you can access it at resourcefulness.org. It's a website. You can go there. It's got the information. You go through the curriculum. You get your digital badge. Really happy to partner with Itron to develop the content's accessibility for everybody. We want it to be free for folks so they can get the education that they wouldn't have had access to otherwise, perhaps. So that's where they go, resourcefulness.org. Please go there. And the one thing you can do is, I think, well, first of all, have an optimistic attitude that these problems are not too difficult to solve. The problems are difficult, but they can be solved. And they're more readily solved if we collaborate and work together. And to collaborate and work together means we all have to do our part, right? We can't just lean on other people, expect them to clean up our mess. We can clean up our mess, but work together to do it. Many hands will make light work. So if you go to resourcefulness.org, get smart on the topics or whatever your resources are for that, and then let's work together, we can solve this. But it takes that attitude shift of it's not going to happen by accident. Like, we got to want to do it. There has to be a proactive intentionality. And so let's just choose to do it and we'll get there. And there are all sorts of examples where we have gotten better environmentally with time. There are rivers that are safe to fish in and swim in now that weren't safe to swim or fish in 40 years ago. There are parts of the nation that had devastating acid rain and the acid rain is gone. There are parts of the nation that had devastating smog. The smog is gone or no longer visible to the naked eye. There are all these examples of environmental improvement, and they didn't happen by accident. They happened because we intended to do it. And it was a mixture of personal behavior, getting smart, collaboration, technological innovation, markets and policies, all that came together. We can do hard things and solve hard problems. Now's the chance. Let's get started.
I love it. Built around Itron's purpose, together we can create a more resourceful world. Dr. Weber, thank you as always for just a wonderful conversation. And thanks to everyone who joined us today. We appreciate you tuning in and wish you all a very happy Earth Day.